The CW Television Network is an American broadcast television network that launched on September 18, 2006. It is a limited liability joint venture between CBS Corporation, the former owners of the United Paramount Network, and Time Warner subsidiary Warner Brothers Entertainment, former majority owner of the WB Television Network. The CW name is derived from the first letters of the names of these corporations. It's the world's fourth largest major network. The network made its debut after its two predecessors, UPN and the WB, respectively ceased independent operations on September 15 and September 17, 2006. The CW's first two nights of programming on September 18 and 19, 2006 consisted of reruns and launch-related specials. The CW marked its formal launch date on September 20, 2006, with a 2-hour season premiere of America's Next Top Model. The network's programming lineup is intended to appeal to people ranging in age from 18 to 34 years old. The network currently runs programming 6 days a week, Monday through Fridays in the afternoon and in prime time, along with a Saturday morning children's programming block produced by Saban Brands called Vortex. The CW is also available in Canada on cable, satellite and IPTV providers through stations owned and operated by CBS Corporation and affiliates that are located within proximity to the Canada-United States border, and through 3 affiliates owned by the Tribune Company that are classified in that country as superstations including the local feed of Chicago affiliate WGN-TV. History, Origins. The CW Television Network is a successor to the WB and the United Paramount Network, both of which launched within 1 week of each other in January 1995. However, both networks can be seen as descendants of the Primetime Entertainment Network, which launched in 1993 as a joint venture between Warner Brothers Entertainment and Chris-Craft Industries. The two companies later became partners in the WB and UPN, with PTEN continuing as a separate syndication service until it folded in 1997. Both UPN and the WB started just as the Fox network had begun to secure a foothold with American television audiences. Both launched to limited fanfare and generally poor results. However, over the subsequent 11½ seasons, both networks were able to air several series that became quite popular. Towards the end of their first decade on the air, both television networks were in decline, unable to reach the audience or have the effect that Fox had gained within its first decade, much less than that of the Big Three. In the 11 years that UPN and the WB were on the air, the two networks lost a combined $2 billion. Rather than facing questionable futures as separate networks, executives from CBS and Time Warner announced on January 24, 2006, that they would respectively shut down UPN and the WB and combine resources to form a new broadcast network, to be known as the CW Television Network, that would at the outset feature programming from both of the new network's predecessors to be, as well as new content developed specifically for the CW. CBS chairman Les Moonves explained that the name of the new network was formed from the first letters of CBS and Warner Brothers, joking, "We couldn't call it the WC for obvious reasons." Although some executives reportedly disliked the new name, Moonves stated in March 2006 that there was zero chance the name would change, citing research claiming 48% of the target demographic were already aware of the CW name. Upon the network's launch, the CW chose to use the scheduling model used by WB due in part to the fact that it had a larger total of weekly programming hours than UPN. Beginnings. Like both UPN and the WB, the CW targets its programming towards younger audiences. CBS and Time Warner hoped that combining their network's schedules and affiliate lineups would strengthen the CW into a fifth major broadcast network. 1 week before the network's official launch, on September 11, 2006, a new, full version of the network website, www.cwtv.com, was launched. The website began to feature more in-depth information of CW shows. The CW launched with a premiere special launch party from CBS-produced Entertainment Tonight at Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank, California on September 18, 2006, after a repeat of the 10th season finale of Seventh Heaven. The same schedule was repeated on September 19, 2006 with the 6th season finale of Gilmore Girls. The network continued to air season finales from the previous season through the rest of the first week, except for America's Next Top Model and WWE SmackDown, which began their new seasons on September 20 and September 22 respectively, with full night premieres. When America's Next Top Model launched on September 20, 2006, the CW scored a 3.4 rating/5 share in the Nielsen household ratings. It scored a 2.6 rating among adults 18 €49, finishing fourth in that demographic and beating Fox's 2.2. The network's second week consisted of season and series premieres for all of its other series from September 25 to October 1, with the exception of Veronica Mars, which debuted its third season on October 3. On May 9, 2008, the CW announced it would lease its Sunday lineup to production company Media Rights Capital. As Sundays had historically been a low-rated night for the network during its first two seasons on the air, the move allowed the CW to concentrate on its Monday/Friday primetime schedule, while giving MRC the right to develop and schedule programs of its own choosing and reap ad revenue generated by its lineup. The Sunday series that were scheduled a two reality series and two scripted series performed poorly in the ratings, prompting the CW to scrap its agreement with MRC and program Sunday nights on its own starting on November 30, 2008. With no backup first-run programming available to run on Sundays, the network added reruns of The Drew Carey Show and Jericho, and movies to replace the MRC-produced programs. One of the shows carried over to the network from UPN, WWE Friday Night SmackDown, ended its run on the CW after the September 26, 2008 episode due to negotiations ending between the WWE and the CW on renewing the program. Representatives for the CW later confirmed that it had chosen not to continue carrying SmackDown because the network had redefined its target audience as exclusively females 18 to 34 years old, whereas SmackDown targeted a predominantly male audience although it continued to air some shows that targeted male viewers such as Smallville and Supernatural. Following SmackDown's move to MyNetwork TV that same season, the Fox-owned network began beating the CW in the Friday ratings every week from the program's debut on the network, though the CW continued to beat MyNetwork TV overall. SmackDown would eventually leave broadcast television altogether in October 2010, when the program moved to the Sci-Fi Cable channel. The CW has generally struggled in the Nielsen ratings since its inception, primarily placing fifth in all Nielsen statistics. On several occasions, the CW has even been outrated by Spanish-language network Univision. This led to speculation in the industry that CBS, Time Warner or both companies could abandon the venture if ratings did not improve. However, the CW's fortunes were buoyed in the 2008-09 and 2009-10 television seasons thanks to increased ratings in its 18-34 female demographic and the buzz that some of its newer series had generated with audiences. Executives of both companies also emphasized their commitment to the network. On May 5, 2009, the CW announced that it would give the 5 hours of network time on Sundays back to its affiliated stations that fall, effectively becoming a weeknight-only network in prime time, in addition to the CW Daytime and the CW 4Kids blocks. This in turn discontinued the Sunday late afternoon repeat block that the CW inherited from the WB through its use of the predecessor network's scheduling model. Subsequently in mid-May, 65% of the CW's affiliates, including those carrying the CW+, signed agreements to continue to air the replacement MGM Showcase movie package on Sundays, which was offered as a traditional movie syndication package meant for the CW's former Sunday primetime slot. New leadership: in 2011, Mark Pedovitz succeeded original president of entertainment Dawn Ostroff. Pedovitz assumed broader responsibilities in the CW's business operations than she had, as the network's first president. As president of entertainment, Ostroff oversaw entertainment operations while John Marta, the network's chief operating officer, handled business affairs, and both reported to a board composed of CBS and Warner Brothers executives. Marta began reporting to Pedowitz as a result of the latter's appointment as network president. Pedowitz revealed that the core target demographic of the network would not change, though the CW would attempt to lure new viewers. Pedowitz began looking to bring comedies back to the CW after former president, Dawn Ostroff, publicly declared the difficulty of doing comedies for its target demographic as the reason for their removal from the network following the 2008-09 season. The network also ordered more episodes of its original series and ran them consecutively through the first week of December, starting on September 12, without repeats. In late 2011, the network entered into digital distribution deals with streaming services Netflix and Hulu. The Netflix deal is a 4-year agreement that allows its customers to instantly watch more than 700 hours of previous seasons of the CW's current scripted series, while Hulu inked a 5-year deal, giving the streaming site access to next-day content from 4 of the 5 major networks. In 2012, Pedowitz no longer referred to the target demographic of the CW as women 18 to 34, but as an 18 to 34 adult network. This became evident with the introduction of action superhero shows such as Arrow, which premiered to a decent performance for the network in overall viewership, watched by 4 million viewers with a large showing of 18 to 34 male viewership. On October 24, 2012, the CW entered into its first video-on-demand distribution deal with a pay television provider through an agreement with Comcast that allows customers to watch the 4 most recent episodes of the network, a Euro-unregistered trademark as primetime shows on the cable provider's Xfinity on-demand service, along with next-day episode content. The CW On Demand, which is accessible to subscribers at no additional charge, debuted on Comcast Xfinity systems nationwide on October 25. The CW beat NBC for the first time in the key demographic of adults 18 to 49 on November 21, 2013. On April 28, 2014, CBS and the CW announced that they would begin coordinating advertising sales together. The two networks will continue to set pricing for commercials independently of one another, but the sales teams will coordinate and share resources in research and other areas to develop strategies that bring value to advertising. Rob Tuck, Executive Vice President of Sales for the CW, will continue to report to Mark Pedowitz, with added direction from Joanne Ross, CBS President of Sales. Programming. As of July 2013, the CW altogether runs 20 hours of programming over 6 days. The network currently maintains a 10-hour primetime schedule, airing on Monday through Fridays from 8:00 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Outside of prime time, the network airs a 1-hour afternoon block each Monday through Friday from 3:00 to 4 p.m. and a 5-hour Saturday morning animation block from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. The afternoon and Saturday morning blocks, which are designed to be tape delayed as the blocks are recommended to air in the same time slot in all time zones, are broadcast 1 hour earlier on affiliates of the CW Plus in the Central, Mountain and Alaska time zones. From April 2009 to March 2011, KTKBLP in Hagientar Plus or Minus, Guam aired the CW schedule on a Tuesday through Monday pattern because of Guam being 1 day ahead of the United States mainland. Unlike the Big Four broadcast networks, the CW does not offer national news or sports programming to its affiliates. However, some affiliates broadcast their own local news and/or sports programs. Many CW affiliates are mostly those aligned with the CW Plus are the nationally syndicated morning show The Daily Buzz, while some Tribune Broadcasting-owned CW affiliates carry a similarly formatted syndicated morning news program, Eye Opener. Many affiliates also carry telecasts of basketball, football and in some cases, other collegiate sporting events that are produced by either ESPN Plus or the ACC network. As of the 2013 Euro 14 television season, America's Next Top Model and Supernatural are the only CW series carried over from the network's respective predecessors that continue to be broadcast on the network. The CW airs short segments during commercial breaks on certain episodes of its programs known as content wraps. A play on the network's name in order to advertise one company's product during part or all of a commercial break. The entertainment magazine series CW Now was inspired in part by the success of the content wraps, as it was intended to be a series with product placement. The series was cancelled in 2008, after 23 episodes. For the network's Tuesday schedule during the 2006-07 season, the CW reached an agreement with American Eagle Outfitters to have its Aerie clothing line tie-in with that night's CW programming as part of the content wrap concept, which included subjects in the commercials commenting on plot points in each of the shows. The agreement was cut down to regular advertising in February 2007, after a fan backlash by viewers of both shows and general criticism of the campaign. Children's programming. Soon after the launch of the CW, the combined network utilized the WB's scheduling practices and carried over the Kids WB programming block, still run by Warner Bros. Television and maintaining its name, to the new network. On October 2, 2007, the network announced that due to a joint decision between parent companies Time Warner and CBS Corporation, that it would discontinue the Kids WB block due to competition from cable channels aimed at the demographic, and would sell the programming time to 4Kids Entertainment. Kids WB ended its run on May 17, 2008. The CW replaced Kids WB with a new children's block called the CW4Kids on May 24, 2008. The block's lineup initially consisted of mostly programs carried over from Kids WB, later adding 4Kids-produced shows such as Chaotic as well as new seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The block was renamed as Toonzai on August 14, 2010. Toonzai ended its run on August 18, 2012. On July 3, 2012, Saban Brands and Kidsco Media Ventures, affiliates of Saban Capital Group, entered into an agreement to program a new 5-hour Saturday morning action-adventure and comedy block for the CW. The CW4Kids Toonzai was replaced by Vortex on August 25, 2012, with programs including Power Rangers Lost Galaxy and WWE Saturday Morning Slam, the latter of which marked the return of WWE programming to the network since WWE SmackDown moved to My Network TV in 2008. The Vortex block will come to an end on September 27, 2014, and be replaced with a live-action EI block from Litton Entertainment named One Magnificent Morning. Differences between the CW and the Big Four networks. Scheduling. The CW airs only 2 hours of network programming during the primetime hours Monday through Fridays, compared to the 3 Monday through Saturday and 4 Sunday primetime hours offered by the Big Three networks. This primetime scheduling allows for many of the network's affiliates to air local newscasts during the 10 p.m. time period. As with predecessors the WB and UPN, the CW does not run network programming on Saturday nights despite the fact that the network maintains a children's program block on Saturday mornings allowing affiliates to run syndicated programs, sports, movies or network programs that were preempted from earlier in the week due to special programming in the 8:00 10 p.m. time period. In comparison to ABC and CBS, the CW also airs the fewest hours devoted to daytime programming on weekdays, running only 1 hour of programming. NBC also runs only 1 hour of daytime programming each weekday. Because of these two reasons, the schedules of the majority of the CW's affiliates are largely composed of syndicated programming. Affiliate distribution, like its predecessors UPN and by technicality, the WB as none of Tribune Broadcasting's WB stations were considered to be O&O since Time Warner held majority ownership of that network. The CW does not have owned and operated stations in any of the 3 largest markets New York City, Los Angeles and Chicago. The network's largest owned and operated station is CBS-owned WPSG Philadelphia, which also became UPN's largest O&O after Chris-Craft Industries had its ownership stake in that network acquired by Viacom in 2000. Because Tribune Broadcasting does not maintain an ownership stake in the CW, its stations in the 3 respective markets are actually affiliates of the network. CBS Corporation owns secondary stations both independents in two of the three markets, KiloColor TV in Los Angeles and Riverhead, New York's WLNY-TV in the New York City market. Similar to the WB but unlike with UPN, whose founding owners Chris Kraft and Viacom both had their own station groups that formed UPN's core stations at its launch, only one of the CW's co-owners CBS Corporation maintains ownership of the network's owned and operated stations. Unlike the other major networks, the CW distributes its programming in certain small to mid-size markets of the United States through a separate national feed called the CW+. The network programmed feed is carried on a mixture of full-power and low-power stations in some markets, and cable-only outlets and digital sub-channel affiliations on major network stations in markets that do not have enough commercial stations to support a standalone CW affiliate. The service offers its own master schedule of syndicated programming during non-network programming hours, although some CW Plus affiliates may also run a local primetime newscast from a major network affiliate. CW predecessor the WB previously had two cable-only affiliate outlets, WGN America, the national superstation feed of WGN-TV, from January 1995 to October 1999 and network-operated the WB 100 Plus station group, which was formed in September 1998 and has had several of its cable-only outlets join the CW Plus since the CW network's launch. Not all of the network's cable-only affiliates are CW Plus outlets. WTO5 in Toledo, Ohio offers its own schedule of syndicated programs during non-network hours that are programmed by its owner Block Communications. Though the CW is the only network with a station group that includes cable-only outlets, it is actually one of only three networks that have had cable-only stations within its affiliate body. News programming: the CW does not produce any national news content, while the majority of affiliates do not have their own news operations. The CW currently has only 8 affiliates that produce their own local news programming, most of which were carryovers from previous affiliations: WGN-TV in Chicago, WPIX in New York City, and KTLA in Los Angeles started their news departments as independent stations and or during early affiliations with other networks including Dumont. Both XETV-TDT in Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico and WCCB in Charlotte, North Carolina started their newscasts during their previous affiliations with Fox. KDAF in Dallas and KIAH in Houston use non-traditional formats. And KCWI-TV in Des Moines, Iowa only broadcasts a morning news and talk program. KTLA has the largest number of weekly hours devoted to local news programming of any CW affiliate with 56 hours each week, followed by WGN-TV with 54 hours. Under Tribune Broadcasting ownership, WLVI in Boston produced an in-house 10 p.m. newscast, which was replaced in December 2006 with one produced by NBC affiliate WHDH, after Tribune sold WLVI to that station's longtime owner Sunbeam Television. News programming on CW affiliates if the station carries any is often outsourced to another major network affiliate in the market, especially if they are part of a duopoly, such as Tribune's respective CW Fox duopolies of KWGN-TV KDVR in Denver and KPLR-TV KTVI in St. Louis, and Evansville, Indiana's WTVW and ABC affiliate WEHT, a duopoly formed through Nexstar Broadcasting Group's 2011 purchase of WEHT and trade of WTVW to partner group Mission Broadcasting. The scheduling of news programming on the CW's affiliates often mirror that of Fox stations, with morning newscasts and a primetime newscast within the 10:00 11 p.m. Eastern Pacific time slot. Rarely, they may also include midday and or early evening newscasts. Affiliates. Following the network launch announcement, the CW immediately announced 10-year affiliation agreements with Tribune Broadcasting and CBS television stations. Tribune originally committed 16 stations that were previously affiliated with the WB, while CBS committed 11 of its UPN stations San Francisco and WUPA Atlanta. These stations combined to reach 48% of all television households in the United States. Both companies also own several UPN and WB affiliated stations that did not join the CW in overlapping markets. As part of its affiliation agreement with the network, the Tribune Company agreed to divest its ownership interest in the WB and did not acquire any stake in the CW. The network stated that it would eventually reach 95% of the United States. In markets where affiliates of both UPN and the WB operate, only one station became affiliated with the CW. Executives were on record as preferring the strongest stations among the WB and UPN's existing affiliates. For example, the new network's first affiliate outside the core group of Tribune and CBS-owned stations, WJZY Charlotte, was tied with Atlanta's WUPA as UPN's fifth strongest station. In most cases, it was obvious where the new network would affiliate. There were only a few markets where the WB and UPN affiliates were both relatively strong. For example, one of the first affiliates to be announced was WKCF Orlando, Florida, which had not only been the top-rated WB affiliate for virtually all of that network's run, but had also been the fourth-rated station in Central Florida. Nearly all of the CW's affiliates were formerly affiliated with UPN or the WB, with very few having been independent stations or affiliates of other networks prior to joining the network. A notable exception was Las Vegas's KVCW, which had been a fairly successful independent before joining the CW. Although it was generally understood that the CW was a merger of UPN and the WB, the new network's creation was not structured as a merger in the legal sense. Rather, it was one new network launching at the same time two others shut down. As such, the CW was not obligated by existing affiliations with the WB and UPN. It had to negotiate from scratch with individual stations. As a result, in several markets, the CW affiliate is a different station than either the former WB and UPN stations. The network has also affiliated with some digital sub-channels, usually those launched by a local Big Four affiliate as a new service, in several other markets. Due to the availability of instant duopoly digital sub-channels that will likely be easily available on cable and satellite, and the overall lack of a need to settle for a secondary affiliation with shows aired in problematic time slots, both the CW and My Network TV launched with far greater national coverage than that enjoyed by UPN and the WB when they both launched in January 1995. UPN for several years had affiliation gaps in the top 30 markets, and by 2005 managed to cover only 86% of the country. This resulted in secondary affiliations with other networks and the resulting diluted ratings when programs were shown out of their intended time slots, or the lack of the program airing at all. Launch repercussions. The announcement of the CW caused the largest single shake-up in U.S. broadcast television since the Fox New World Communications Alliance of 1994 and the subsequent launches of UPN and the WB the following year. While the CW's debut affected more markets, it likely did not cause the same degree of viewer confusion, as no affiliates of the four major networks dropped those affiliations to join the CW. The WB and UPN were the first major television networks to shut down since the collapse of the Dumont Television Network in 1955, although other small broadcast television networks have also ceased operations over the years. It became clear that Fox television stations, which purchased several UPN affiliates from former UPN co-owner Chris Kraft Industries in 2002, would be affected. Its UPN affiliates in 5 major markets did not receive affiliations with the CW, due to the agreement with Tribune, and Fox made it clear it would not even seek carriage of the network for its UPN affiliates in 4 other markets. All UPN logos and network references were quickly removed from Fox's UPN stations. Shortly thereafter, Fox announced that it would launch My Network TV, a programming service meant to fill the 2 nightly prime-time hours that UPN would vacate on the network's Fox-owned affiliates after the CW launched. Fox also offered the service to stations owned by other broadcasting groups. In markets where the WB and UPN were carried on separate stations, one of the 2 local outlets was left out in the merger. Most of the stations that did not join the CW had signed with My Network TV instead, while others elected to become independent stations. Some stations which did not affiliate with either network opted instead to shut down permanently. Affiliate issues, problems with Time Warner Cable. Some Time Warner Cable subscribers around the country were unable to see the network when it debuted on September 18, 2006 due to stations in several markets not being able to strike a deal with the provider. In markets like Charleston, South Carolina, El Paso, Texas, Honolulu, Hawaii, Palm Springs, California, Beaumont, Waco and Corpus Christi, Texas, where the CW is broadcast on a digital sub-channel of one of the market's major network affiliates, there were unsuccessful attempts in getting Time Warner Cable to carry those CW affiliates. Some affiliates eventually signed deals with Time Warner Cable, but not all of the CW affiliates received carriage on TWC's basic cable tiers. Currently, the largest market without a known affiliate is the Johnstown-Altoona market. The closest CW station to that market is CBS-owned WPCW-TV Pittsburgh, which is carried on TWC's Johnstown and Altoona's cable systems. WPCW was originally targeted to serve that area before it switched its focus to the Pittsburgh markets in the late 1990s. On February 2, 2007, Beaumont, Texas's KFDM made its CW-affiliated sub-channel available to Time Warner Cable customers in the market on Channel 10. On April 20, 2007, El Paso, Texas's KVIA-TV began broadcasting its CW-affiliated sub-channel on Time Warner Cable Channel 13. On April 21, 2007, KCWQLP made its broadcast debut on Channel 5 on Time Warner Cable in the Palm Springs area. Pappas Telecasting bankruptcy. One of the network's major affiliate groups, Pappas Telecasting Companies, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy for 13 of his stations on May 10, 2008. Within the petition, Pappas specifically cited the network's low ratings and lackluster performance as one of many complications that had forced it to make the filing. Several of the stations have since been sold in either business transactions with Pappas as bankruptcy officials or via station auction processes as Pappas winds down operations. Although the company had originally stated that no stations would be affected at all by the closing, 2 Pappas stations formerly affiliated with the CW have ceased operations. On May 29, 2008, Yakima, Washington's KCWK went off the air and the station's offices were closed, leaving that area without locally based CW programming and forcing cable and satellite providers to carry Los Angeles KTLA in order to provide the network's programming to their subscribers. The situation was resolved when Fisher Communications announced in April 2009 that its CBS affiliates in the area would carry the network through digital sub-channel affiliations. Subsequently, Columbus, Georgia's WLGA lost its CW affiliation in April 2009 to a sub-channel of WLTZ due to the network's concerns about Pappas's financial state. WLGA ultimately ceased operations in June 2010 as it was unable to compete in the market as an independent station. It has since returned to the air as an affiliate of Weather Nation TV. Marianas Media bankruptcy. On April 20, 2009, Hagientar Plus or Minus A, Guam station KTKBLD signed on air as a CW affiliate and became the U.S. territory's 5th commercial television outlet. The competition from the other outlets combined with financial problems at Marianas Media, which was running the station under a local marketing agreement with the troubled KM Communications Incorporated, forced the station off air on March 31, 2011. Tribune's relations with the CW and their de-emphasis of the network's brand. While the Tribune Company has solid affiliation deals with the CW, it also has affiliation deals with Fox. But with new management and ownership taking over Tribune in 2008, it was apparent that the company would move one of its CW-affiliated stations to Fox, adding to more questions surrounding the CW's future. In a March 2008 seminar by Tribune's then-chairman and CEO Sam Zell, it was revealed that the company's San Diego outlet KSWB-TV would switch its affiliation from the CW to Fox that August, with KSWB assuming the Fox affiliation from XETV-TV, which had been a Fox charter affiliate since that network's 1986 inception. XETV was not informed of Zell's deal until it was made public. After the news broke, XETV planned on suing to prevent the switch on the grounds that it would violate an affiliation contract that XETV had with Fox that was not set to expire until 2010. However, on July 2, 2008, XETV announced that it would join the CW on August 1 and rebrand as San Diego 6. Though Tribune's 13 other CW-affiliated stations have remained with the network, all of them began to de-emphasize the network from their branding in favor of one with a stronger local identity. On-air branding that excised the CW name began on the stations in July 2008 either on-air or through their websites. Some of these stations eventually began reincorporating the CW branding starting in 2011, such as KDAF Dallas, KRCW-TV Portland, Oregon and KIAH Houston. Tribune Company President Peter Liguori said in a May 2014 discussion at the Moffett-Nathanson Media and Communications Summit that he was not pleased with where the CW is, in regards to its ratings performance, stating that the network should not program to young people who don't watch conventional television. Liguori also stated that he would consider collaborating with the network in regards to improving its programming slate, possibly by incorporating programs from the company's Tribune Studios unit onto the network, as well as having Tribune play a larger role in the CW's management. Roberts Broadcasting bankruptcy. Roberts Broadcasting filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection on October 7, 2011. The company cited the loss of the UPN affiliations for WRBU St. Louis, WZAB Columbia, South Carolina and WRBJ Jackson, Mississippi when that network shut down in favor of the CW in 2006, as much of UPN's programming consisted of minority-targeted programs that Roberts felt were compatible with their station's target audiences. The company has also been hit with lawsuits from Warner Brothers Television, 20th Television and CBS Television Distribution over failure to pay fees for syndicated programming. Roberts eventually settled with 20th but lost the Warner Brothers and CBS cases. On March 24, 2011, the Federal Communications Commission canceled WAZE's license for failure to construct its digital facilities. However, the station continued to broadcast via its three-station analog translator network. On February 20, 2012, Roberts Broadcasting announced it was exploring the possibility of selling one or all four of its television stations in order to raise enough cash to pay off its creditors. On October 22, 2012, Roberts announced that it had sold WRBJ to the Trinity Broadcasting Network. The deal was approved by a bankruptcy court on January 17, 2013, and TBN officially took over operational control of WRBJ 5 months later, on May 24, 2013. The CW would return to the Jackson area on the second digital sub-channel of CBS affiliate WJTV in September 2013. On January 3, 2013, the repeater network of WAZE ceased operations, with independent station WTVW hurriedly joining the CW at the end of the month to maintain the network in the Evansville area. On December 2, 2013, Roberts filed to sell WZAB to Radiant Light Ministries, a subsidiary of Tri-State Christian Television, for $2 million. On December 4, Roberts also filed to sell WRBU to TCT for $5.5 million. However, on December 11, the United States Bankruptcy Court gave initial approval for a plan by Roberts' creditors to instead transfer WRBU, WZAB and the WAZE repeaters to a trust with Ion Media Networks as its beneficiary, with Roberts' attorney subsequently stating that Ion would purchase the stations for $7.75 million. Roberts had earlier proposed an alternate plan that would have had only the WAZE repeaters be transferred to the trust, which would have allowed the sale of WRBU and WZAB to TCT. The CW affiliation in Colombia moved to My Network TV affiliate WKTC in March 2014, after temporarily remaining on WZAB after its conversion into an ION television O&O the previous month. WKTC now operates as a dual CW My Network TV affiliate. Station standardization. When the CW launched in 2006, the network began branding most of its affiliates as CW, or the CW, with stations opting to use their channel number or incorporating the name of their city or region. Examples of the latter include Philadelphia's WPSG, WLVI, WUPA, Waco, Texas's KWTX-DT2 and KVCW. Some stations also use the call sign either within the station logo, on-air identification or both. Examples include WNLO Buffalo, New York, WWHO Columbus, Ohio and WBNX Cleveland. In Omaha, Nebraska, KXVO uses the dual brandings of CW15, and Omaha's CW. In Honolulu, Hawaii, KHONDT2 is branded as Hawaii's CW93. The branding once used by WKRC-DT2/Cincinnati, Ohio was CINCW, a portmanteau with the common nickname for the city, Cincy. With the exceptions of XETV San Diego and WXCW Fort Myers, all CW affiliates not owned by Tribune usually brand themselves using a version of the network logo. From December 2009 to September 2012, Mobile, Alabama's CW affiliate WBPG, then known as the Gulf Coast CW, changed its call letters to WFNA and used a similar approach around their new call letters, before becoming known as CW55, and adopting a style reflective of the CW's branding techniques once again. The CWHD, the CW's master feed, is transmitted in 1080i high definition, with all transmission of the network's programming moving to the format in June 2012. As of March 2012, all primetime programming, as well as the network's Saturday morning children's block Vortex, is broadcast in HD, with the daytime talk show The Bill Cunningham Show carried in enhanced definition widescreen due to producer preference. Vortex programming that is not broadcast in high definition features stylized pillar boxing and window boxing. The network is available in HD on most of its full-power affiliates, while availability on those affiliates with sub-channel or cable-exclusive affiliations varies by market. In some of these cases, a standard definition signal is only available over the air. In those cases, the station offers an exclusive high-definition feed to cable and satellite providers, while a 16:9 widescreen feed that broadcasts in 480 ISD is presented on some over-the-air affiliates to meet minimum requirements for presentation. Since June 2012, the CW Plus feed is also transmitted in HD, and the network has asked those affiliates to carry it in high definition wherever possible. Marketing and multimedia. The CW television network is involved in both linear broadcast and digital media, in various forms. On January 14, 2007, the CW began streaming full-length episodes of several programs online. On December 15, 2006, CBS Corporation revived its record label, CBS Records, whose artists' music are available to programs on the CW. The network has an iTunes App Store application, not counting Hulu's streaming of CW programming over its Hulu Plus application. The CW TV app is a more traditional television network application featuring the network's programming, which can be streamed over 3G and MiFi networks. The network's programming is also available over CBS Interactive's TV.com app, which encompasses all of CBS's various properties. Previously, a separate first-person shooter app called Nikita Spy Training Module was used to promote the 2010 to 2013 drama series Nikita. The network also previously marketed CW Citywise, a Target-sponsored application highlighting businesses and video highlights of the network's Monday and Tuesday night programming in the 2009 Euro 10 season. It has since been discontinued. On December 1, 2011, the CW offered Quingo, an interactive game resembling Bingo, accessed by using Facebook to sign into the CW community. Starting with an episode of The Vampire Diaries, viewers could click on tiles showing a scene from an episode as that scene appeared, and 5 tiles in a row meant Quingo. Winners could become eligible for prizes. Advertisers sponsored the games. CW Seed is a destination for original content created exclusively for the digital platform focused in the areas of animation, game shows, comedy and digital personalities. It exists as a subsite on CWTV.com, but the network is adding more interactivity to the service, opening up for feedback from viewers and adding more social engagement. Web content produced by CW Seed includes Stupid Hype, Prom Queen and Husbands. See also, CBS, Footnotes. External links, CWTV.com, official website, The CW on Facebook, The CW on Google+, The CW on Twitter, The CW's channel on YouTube.